Well, he's dead. Al-Awlaki is dead. A CIA drone strike in Yemen kills the senior al-Qaeda leader. The American-born radical cleric preached jihad against the U.S., and he was linked to the Christmas underwear bomber and the Fort Hood killer. Many here in the U.S. are cheering, but some, like Congressman Ron Paul, are criticizing our government for killing him. Why? Fox News Homeland Security correspondent Catherine Herridge joins us. She's also the author of a book called The Next Wave: On the Hunt for Al-Qaeda's American Recruits. Good evening, and tell me, is this as big as everyone's been saying all day? Does this really hurt Al-Qaeda, or is someone else just going to step up into the position?
Well, it's a great question, Greta. It does hurt al-Qaeda because Anwar al-Awlaki is really the leader of al-Qaeda 2.0, this new generation of American recruits. And al-Awlaki was a digital jihadist who really used our technology against us. So whether he was emailing or blogging, he was kind of like the Facebook friend from hell. He really leveraged social networking to spread this ideology of hate. But a former senior intelligence official said to me that this group in Yemen, al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, that's behind the last two major strikes against the U.S., is really a lot more than al-Awlaki and this other American, Samir Khan. They have someone called Nasser al-Wahishi, not a household name, but a longtime aide to Osama bin Laden, and also a guy called Ibrahim al-Asiri, who's considered one of the best bomb makers working today, and he was behind these non-metallic explosives that we saw in that attempted bombing on Christmas Day, Greta.
How did he slip out of the country? Because as I remember, I think it's either from talking to you or reading your book, I can't remember which, is that he was embraced pretty much by the United States as being a source of information, and now it turns out it developed into this. Well, you're right. One of the things I lay out in the book, and we discussed on your show back in June, is that in October of 2002, Anwar al-Awlaki was held in federal custody until an FBI agent, Wade Ammerman, ordered his release, even though there was an active warrant for his arrest. And what our Fox investigative team has reported, and it's never been challenged by the FBI, is that the Bureau was trying to either develop an intelligence asset relationship with Anwar al-Awlaki or track him inside the United States for intelligence. And the reason that matters is because what we showed is that this information about the FBI contact with al-Awlaki was never shared with the 9/11 Commission or with Congress. And his life in the U.S. in 2002 and also his connections to the 9/11 hijackers is a subject of a congressional investigation right now, Greta. When did the FBI first have wind of him or contacted him? I take it was post 9/11 and not pre 9/11. Well, actually, the FBI had an investigation into Anwar al-Awlaki before 9/11 because he had some suspicious contacts. One was with a Yemeni charity called the Charitable Society for Social Welfare. But that investigation was closed in 2000, just about the same time the first two hijackers entered the United States and developed this relationship with Anwar al-Awlaki. The question has always been whether Anwar al-Awlaki was somehow radicalized after 9/11 or whether, in fact, he was really part of the 9/11 plot as part of a support network. And what we've shown in our reporting, and I really lay out a compelling case in the book, is that his contacts with the 9/11 hijackers were not a series of coincidences, but rather newly declassified documents, phone records, and bank records make a very compelling case that, in fact, this was evidence of a purposeful relationship, Greta. Well, now there, of course, is the controversy because he's the first American to be killed in this. I mean, it's on the capture or kill list. I imagine that is at least causing some consternation within the FBI discussion tonight. Well, it is. What we had today is that two of the Republican candidates, Gary Johnson, also Ron Paul, saying that the killing of an American overseas under the orders of the U.S. president really set a very dangerous precedent. Because here's the problem. What we had today was the U.S. government acting as judge, jury, and executioner for an American citizen overseas. And this happened at the same time that the Obama White House wanted to bring the 9/11 suspects, all people who are foreign-born, to a federal court in the Southern District of New York to give them the presumption of innocence and also the full constitutional rights of an American citizen. So clearly there's a disconnect here, and this is important because what I've shown in my reporting in the book is that there is an entirely new generation of Americans who since 9/11 have joined al-Qaeda, so we're going to face this problem again in the very near future, Greta. Any likelihood of any revenge? Is there any chatter that there's going to be a reaction to the killing of today? Well, actually, there are two killings today, but any reaction, chatter reaction that we should be worried about? Right. Well, excellent question. The chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, Congressman Peter King, told Fox News Radio earlier today that he was very concerned about revenge attacks by al-Awlaqi's followers inside the United States, and he thought that may be the short-term cost of taking out someone who was so important to al-Qaeda's message and bringing it to the West. I haven't heard anything separately from that from my intelligence officials, but it's certainly a consideration because al-Awlaqi was this digital jihadist, and unfortunately his message really lives on in the virtual world much beyond his life that was ended today.
Catherine, thank you.